yesterday's recording may have gone missing. Yes, it may have gone missing. I hit record, but somehow I think when I had my meeting, maybe it went corrupt. I'm not sure. So if I can find it, I'll be putting that up for yesterday. If not, no big deal. You know, I've got a lot of them up there. There he is. Let's get him in here. Let's see. Did I just lose people? No, we're doing good. Okay, like I said, we got a couple minutes. We'll see if anyone else rolls in. Have a lot more updates for you guys today. We finally had our big meeting, the one we've been waiting for, and I got a lot of information to give out to you guys. So it won't be a long session today, but we're going to be rolling forward, getting things moving and getting better situated with all this distance learning stuff. So can you guys hear me okay? I don't know if it helps if I'm closer to the mic. Just give me a thumbs up or something if it's perfect, or in the chat. All right, perfect, cool. All right. Hey, I like those reactions. It's pretty cool. I'm hoping to see Serenity, as I was emailing with her. Maybe I can give well, it's kind of hard. I'll add you guys. I forgot to do that. I'll add everyone to the student commons, another class, and that's for you guys. That's just for you guys to use to communicate. I already put a link up to a Google Meet session, and the session ID is I think commons, all lowercase, COMMONS, I think, or COMONS, one of the two. And that's if you guys wanted to launch your own meetings. Again, I have no issue with it as long as you guys keep it, school appropriate. I can give you guys all kinds of fun tools to use, so you guys can communicate with classmates and catch up and do all that good stuff. All right, so I guess we'll start to get started here. All right, let's go through some updates first. We had our regular meeting today with Dr. Kirby and teachers. Yeah, it really wasn't that eventful, but we had another meeting with everyone regarding grades and what different expectations there are. So I wasn't going to tell you guys this because it's a little bit of a mess. I'm not exactly happy with the way we have to do grading, but it's also not bad, and I also agree with it, if that makes sense. I know I just contradicted myself, but that's okay because I'll spell it out for you guys. So we have 3 levels of direction on grades. One level is from the state, another level is from the district, and there's another level from the building. So from the state, number 1, no student can be penalized for NTI related work. That's what they're saying. You cannot, if a student doesn't do any of their NTI work, you cannot fail them. I wasn't going to tell you guys this, but there are teachers that work at Tyner, McKee, the high school. It's going to get out anyway. So I figured might as well just be honest with you guys and explain under these unprecedented times what all of this means and how it rolls out. So the state's saying you cannot be penalized for NTI work. Okay. Teachers are still to teach, and we're taxed with having to make that 85 to 90% contact percentage. We have to do that. So that means if students don't log in, you're going to get bombarded by phone calls. In fact, I'm going to pay for an auto dialer just so it'll do all my work for me. It'll just constantly call until someone answers. I hate to do that, but it's an option. From the district, March 13th, everything up to March 13th is regular grading, just like you guys were in school. That was the day we started our NTI day work. And the way the state has mandated that districts do the grades, and the district has decided to do the grades, they're going to take the first 12 weeks and the second 12 weeks up to the part of the third 12 weeks. I know this sounds complicated, and they're going to average your grade. So if you had a good grade this year, it's going to be pretty hard to affect that grade. The district and the buildings, middle school, has allowed 10% to be applied to the student's grade for NTI work. So how does that work out? It's basically what I was going to do anyways. So in our class, the way I'm going to apply this is if you are in the live sessions and you are participating, doing my weekly check-ins on the discussion board, which is a whole Mr. P, I'm alive, and you're doing what? I think 2 of the discussions, I only have 2 discussions up that were for the novel. If you've done all of those, you are going to get 100% of the 10% that'll affect your grade in a positive way. If you've been on a little bit and you've never been to a live session and you've only done the minimal post check-ins, I'm probably going to give you half of that 10%. If you've been doing some stuff online, but very little is completed, then I'll give the grade accordingly. Now, that leaves, what about the people who don't have internet who are doing paper work? Well, same thing. If you've never logged on to Moodle since, and I can look at the logs and tell, since we've gone March 13th, I'll be forced to assume that you're doing the paperwork. So if I get the paper copies back and the students have done chapter summaries for every single chapter that we've done, I'm not going to grade for accuracy. I'm just going to grade for completion. That'll be a 10%. If half the work's done, it'll be a 50%. If you've only put in your name on the packet, well, you'll probably get 1%. But any which way, 10% is not enough to significantly move your grade one way or the other. If you were at an 80%, you might be lucky and get a 9% with the 10, or a 90% with the 10% added to that. If you didn't do anything and you had an 80% up to the NTI days, it might drop you to a 70%. The only students that this could possibly affect in a negative way, which is a problem because that goes against what the state said, and I'm going to have to ask for clarification on this, are those students that were just borderline passing when we went on the NTI days. If they do nothing, then the NTI day work could potentially cause them to fail. And I will ask for clarification on how that plays out in regards with the state directives. Does that make sense to everybody in the room? If it does, give me an LOL. If it doesn't, or you can do thumbs up. If it doesn't, then just say I'm confused. I'll give you guys a minute to respond. Let's see. All right, I got 1 LOL. That's good. And if you're confused, I got a thumbs up. All right, that's good. So it sounds like that makes sense. And I agree with the state. I really don't think you guys should be penalized for the work. I mean, mom and dad sometimes can't help. I couldn't even help my daughter with some of her math work, and I just looked at it and went, I don't know what to tell you. I get it, And so I never was a proponent of being a real, strict grader on the actual work. But that's where it is. So what does that mean for us? If you're doing live sessions and they're going to get real fun moving in next week, we're still going to wrap up the Tangerine novel. Then you're golden. Do the discussion board post check-ins like you're supposed to, and the work that we do online, and you're going to get 100% of every bit of points I can give you, and maybe then some. To me, I didn't tell you about the reasons why I'm doing this. To me, it's more important that you guys are logging in online and engaging online, because whether the district knows it yet or not, likes it or not, this is going to be the new norm. The record snow days for Jackson County was 46. We only have 180 days. This should have long ago been put into place. A parallel system where you can be face-to-face and teach, and in a moment's notice, be able to revert online and deliver the same instruction and have the same interaction with students. And it is so important that you guys make an effort to do this, and your teachers make an effort to do this. And I don't think it's, you know, a lot of these teachers just were thrown into this along with you guys. So, you know, some are using iExcel, some are using iReady. They're just trying to survive and get through this. But moving forward, online instruction should be meaningful. Online instruction should be engaging. It should be face-to-face, real time. And then you also have work that you'll have to do. And that's a productive online environment. What's not a good idea is busy work. Just giving you guys worksheets. I was on YouTube last night watching students doing their remote work from home, and they're printing out worksheet after worksheet after worksheet. And, you know, that's not very engaging. What if a student needs help? So I also saw students who were working in engaging environments. Their teachers were doing exactly what I'm doing with you. Talking about the novel, asking questions, interacting with students. And that's the way it needs to be done. And that's important right now. That's why I'm basing all my 10% that I can give right now for this right here, for being online. Because moving forward, like I said, whether Jackson Community Schools likes it or not, they are going to be forced to provide quality distance learning. And we need to set a precedent or kind of explain to all the students that this is real and it's serious. Because if we just kind of pass this off as, okay, you did some of your work, you get the grade and you're good to go. If I was a student, trust me, I wasn't a bad student, but I was no great scholar when I was a middle schooler. I would rather be out on my four-wheeler and not doing school, especially if it only counts as 10% of my grade. Who cares? I'll take a B if I can ride my four-wheeler all day long and do summer break early. That's not the message we need to be sending. We need to be sending the message that it is critically important that you guys keep in communication and connection with your teachers. And then from there, we can start to build learning environments that are engaging and informative and not giving you guys too much work or too much busy work or any of that. So that's where we're at. I wanted to be very straight with all of my students and let you know truthfully what's going on. Both my wife and I have expert level degrees in education. I specialize in online learning. So I think you can have some credibility, like we talked about with the ethos, pathos, logos in what I'm telling you. So that was the big news for today, was the grading. Are there any questions regarding grading or other things happening with regard to all this unprecedented historical history in the making, as Merrick pointed out in the chat room? All right. Give me an LOL or a thumbs up if you're ready to do the quick chapter summary for today. And we'll get moving with it. All right. I actually don't think... Oh, I do have one more thing to add. So I'm still working on the digital audiobook. Oh my gosh, that is incredibly time consuming. I'm basically ripping every chapter in Adobe Audition, which is the same software that musicians use to put tracks together. And I'm building an audio CD, and then I'm pulling each chapter out and putting it in Moodle with the text. And it's extremely time consuming. I should have it done by the time we're done with the novel. I was hoping to be done today, but because I had to do that meeting today and everything else that the district wants, they're pushing me back, so I'm behind schedule. So next week, once that's done, and I get my grade stuff set up, which is actually a little bit easier now. For those students that can't get online and that have requested Galaxies, I'm going to get them delivered to their houses so they can do some of the work in Moodle offline. And you guys will move forward doing enrichment after Wednesday, which enrichment's going to be fun, guys. We're going to be able to do all kinds of things. And I'll do my best to make it as interesting as possible. Try to get more of your friends to join us. And remember Tuesday, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, Tuesday, all the 7th grade teachers are planning on doing a Google Meet. You're going to see it on Facebook. You're going to get an email. You're going to get messages on asking you to meet with us. And tell your friends, get as many people as you can on board with this. All teachers are meeting Tuesday. I'm not sure about the time. I can try to check back at my email here real quick and see when was that? It was yesterday. Google Meet for 7th grade. Here it is. Did they mention a time? Okay, there. It's gonna be. We'd like to do for ours 10 and 2, right? So there might be 2 sessions. So you'll get an email if you already haven't. And yeah, please join us. It's going to be fun. You get to see Mrs. Markham and Miss Madden and everyone else. So that'd be great. Let me check for questions. Okay. All right. That brings us to Tangerine. And I believe today is December 3rd, right? Is where we're at in the novel. Let me double check. Friday, NTI Day number 26, chapter reading, Sunday, December 3rd. All right, we're getting real far into the novel now. All right, and then we got Monday coming up is December 3rd later. No, actually, I think, yeah, December 3rd later. Monday is, or Tuesday is December 4th. Then Wednesday is December 5th till the end of the book. So we are at December 3rd. So Sunday, December 3rd. Let me check the chat to see if anyone's asking questions before I get started. No questions. Everyone looks good. No one's trying to get in. All right, here we go. So Sunday, December 3rd. Paul's household receives their Sunday morning newspaper at the same time the rest of the area receives theirs. Not long after that, the Fisher phone rings with the first of many calls from people who have read the big story. The story is about Antoine's confession and that he went to Lake Windsor High School while living in the Tangerine District, and it is about what followed the admission. The nullification, oh gosh, that's a big word. I should have put that in there. It basically voids out all Lake Windsor High School football victories since Antoine started playing on the team. That was 3 years ago. Mr. Donnelly has an article in the paper saying that Antoine Thomas is the greatest quarterback in the county, but most people, including Paul's dad, want to concentrate on blaming Antoine and only Antoine. Finally, Paul manages to get Dad to see the obvious. So that's my notes from December 3rd. It was, I can't remember. Was this a really short chapter? Let's see. No, it wasn't very short. It just kind of, I have to admit, it kind of drug on. This was not one of the high point chapters. I'll jump back to the chat here in case anyone's got questions. So the chapter ends with this final paragraph. This might help bring some things to light and remind you. I was glad that Mr. Donnelly had put in one good word for Antoine because it was clear that no one else was going to. The phone kept ringing. A strategy was emerging from the calls that Dad received and made. They were going to blame Antoine and Antoine alone. The families, the coaches, the teachers, the fans were all denying that they even dimly suspected that anyone was breaking any rule at any time. Give me a break. After I heard Dad telling an assistant coach that he too was shocked by the news, I couldn't take it anymore. I said, Dad, have you ever seen any of the Lake Windsor High football guys out running? He looked as if he was surprised that I was there. What? Have you ever seen any of the Lake Windsor High football guys out running, like along the roads? Yeah, sure. Why? Have you ever seen them riding 10 speeds or shooting hoops or playing tennis? Yeah. Have you ever seen them driving their cars? Yes. Okay. Now, have you ever seen Antoine Thomas doing any of those things? Have you ever seen Antoine out running or biking or driving anywhere around here? Dad looked at me curiously, but he still didn't get it. He answered, no, I can't say I have. Have you seen him at the supermarket or at a pump or the gas station or getting some fries at McDonald's? His dad was nodding his head now, but he wasn't agreeing with me. He was getting annoyed. What is this about? I guess it's about your eyesight, Dad, your eyesight. And Coach Warner's and Mr. Bridges and everybody else's who was shocked today because I've seen lots of those Lake Windsor guys in lots of places, everywhere we go. In fact, but I've never seen Antoine Thomas. I've never seen him anywhere except the football stadium. That's because he doesn't live around here, Dad. He lives in Tangerine. Everybody knows that. Dad looked down. He knew that I was right. He knew the truth. The phone rang again, but he didn't answer it. So there you have it. And what's ironic about this chapter is if you remember back to Paul's soccer coach arguing with the Lake Windsor coach, they were trying to say that Paul they couldn't win the game. They couldn't count the points that Paul had scored because he lived in Lake Windsor and was going to Tangerine, and that those points couldn't count against him. And the coach reminded the Lake Windsor Downs soccer coach that if that was the case, then none of the points that Antoine Thomas had scored should count for the football team at Lake Windsor Downs. And they backed down and they let it go. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if that means they should have not taken Paul's points because they're not allowing Antoine Thomas's to count, but it's kind of interesting. So it was about the districting of where the students live versus where they go to school. So any thoughts, any questions? I guess give me a thumbs up or an LOL if you like the chapter or at least understood it and get it. Or if you have a question, type in the question in the chat. All right, not seeing anything. It's crickets. Lots of crickets. Okay, there they are. All right, well, then we will put this chapter to rest for today. However, before we wrap it up for our live class session today, I thought it might be a good idea to ask some of you guys, do you guys have any enrichment ideas, things that we could explore in our live class sessions after Wednesday of next week that might be of interest to you? I'm open to anything. I'll give you guys a minute. It could be a short story. It could be an outside activity. It could be almost anything as long as I have the resources to do it. Enrichment is basically a fancy word for providing instruction to students that's really interesting, like demonstrations or exploring something that a lot of the students want to learn about, something that they choose. So maybe you present something to the students that they know nothing about, like I did with the hydroponics, and you guys really like that. So it's basically doing things like that. It could even be, and I'll see, maybe, who knows, maybe I can find a guest speaker to come in and talk about something. It could be talking about the impact of COVID-19. I mean, it could be local community stuff, like maybe something's going on with I don't know, fishing. Maybe there's unprecedented people catching fish or something. I mean, enrichment can really be anything. It's meant to be really interesting for you guys, something that you want to learn and hear about, or have discussions about, something like that. So what are you guys have any requests? Do you have anything that's really interesting to you? I'm not sure I'm ready for any video gaming quite yet. So I know some of you like video gaming. Enrichment could involve even like Minecraft or something like that. It can really be anything. Like I mentioned, demonstrating how to throw a cast net, or maybe demonstrating how to transfer hydroponic tomatoes to dirt. I'm going to definitely wait until it's a little warmer outside. In order to do the cast net thing, I do plan this weekend on running. I'm not sure if you guys can see too well here. Let me move my books here. So believe it or not, I have kind of a sophisticated setup here. And I actually have a switch right there. That's a 48 port switch. And I need to run a line from that switch outside to a Wi-Fi repeater. And this is a commercial one. So it's going to shoot my internet, for about a half mile out the back of my house. Once I do that, I can take my computer, and maybe Mrs. Parmentier can help, and then we can definitely do the cast netting. So I guarantee you we can do that as an enrichment class before the end of the semester. My truck has internet, so I can actually go mobile. Maybe none of you have ever seen Tequamanon Falls, and maybe Mrs. Parmentier and I decide, hey, we're gonna do a day where we go over to Tequamanon Falls, and we're gonna live cast it and talk about the history of not Tequamanon Falls, Cumberland Falls. Tequamanon Falls is in northern Michigan. It is a place, but Cumberland Falls is over where I just moved from, near Corbin, and I could talk about the falls history and things like that. So that's what I'm talking about with enrichment. Who knows? Maybe if I can find an area where my truck gets a little bit of internet, maybe an enrichment day could be going and looking around a little bit for morale mushrooms live. I mean, it can really be anything. So the idea is to foster student engagement and get about 50 of you logged on to this system at one time. So let's see if there's any other questions in the chat. So now that you know what enrichment is, do any of you have any requests, any ideas? Niagara Falls would be fun, but I think that might be a little difficult with our state travel restrictions and all that. But maybe someday we can definitely do Niagara Falls. But Cumberland Falls, give me a thumbs up if everyone in the room's been to Cumberland Falls. You guys probably have. Merrick has, it looks like. Looks like Peyton has. So some of you have. There are probably some other interesting places around as well. And I can also check and see if any museums, like county level, are open. Maybe the library is open. Who knows? Probably not because it's public. But I can search for things like that. And if you don't know if you've been there, well, that's okay. It still might be a fun idea. And I'll brainstorm with Mrs. Parmentier and try to come up with some more. Yeah, Flatlick Falls is here. I've been there in our county. I've been to the Big Arch Rock. Now I just have to make sure that I can get internet in these places. I have the OnStar internet in my truck, which is pretty good, but it's not everywhere. Maybe an enrichment day would be going up to the Climax Water Company near what's that called? Turkey Foot, and filling up the bottles of water for the hydroponics, because that water is special because it doesn't have any chlorine or any fluoride in it like you have coming out of your taps. So the plants would grow better. So that's the plan. Spread the news. I'm gonna come up with a way to create incentives for you guys. If you can get other classmates to join in, maybe you have a day where you're practicing social distancing and you have a buddy meet, or if someone comes over or has to stay at your house, you're like, hey, you got to check this out and get on the live session. That might merit some, I don't know, maybe like a badge or a BHAG ticket or something. I'll figure something out like that. So, all right. If there are no questions, I guess that's it for today. If you're done, then type bye in the chat. If you have a question, type your question. And if everyone's good, we will sign off, and I will see you guys on Monday. All right. Bye, guys.